If I could go back in time and talk to my college self / just out of college self, here are some of the healthy habits I tell her I wish I implemented earlier. Number 1, buy frozen berries. It's a cheap, affordable way to get fibers, vitamins, and antioxidants. Blueberries have such a high quantity of antioxidants, and the amount of fiber in raspberries is crazy. Plus, frozen fruits and vegetables is just a generally cheap way to get in a ton of nutrients. Habit number 2, don't fear salt. I read so many articles of like, salt's gonna make you bloat, da 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 da. It actually kind of doesn't. This is very complicated, but pretty much if you're an athlete, you're sweating a lot, you're losing electrolyte. Those cramps you're getting in the middle of the night, the lack of energy, is actually from just not having enough sodium in your diet, because you've been told if you have any sodium, you're going to blow up. Now, if you rapidly increase your sodium intake one day, the next day you might experience some water retention, but your body does kind of balance it out over time. And actually some of that water retention is good because it's in your muscles, which it gives you the bump. Habit number 3, get a hydrating full body sunscreen and use it daily. I loved tanning beds growing up. I loved it. And I also complained, why do I have such red patchy skin? It's like all over my face and my body's always red. So that's why I'd always put on fake tan, and that's why I tan to mask the red. No, the red is because your skin's constantly burned from not wearing sunscreen. So when I started putting sunscreen on my face, I drastically saw a difference. But recently, which wish I'd done years ago, I started using a full body sunscreen. I know a lot of you are like, what? You're just starting out. Now, hear me out. I'm just saying I didn't consistently. Like if I'm just going on a walk, I won't put it on. I only did it when I was on vacation because I want to tan. Why would I wear a sunscreen? Also, like a sunscreen sucked. That sticky feeling all day, there was no point. It just made me not tanned. So why would I wear it? Recently, I started using sunscreens that are hydrating. So it moisturizers. So I'm like, oh, my skin's dry. Now suddenly my skin looks supple. And so it makes me want to use it every day. And also, yeah, suddenly you wear sunscreen on your body and your skin's not as red. It doesn't sound that revolutionary, but 25-year-old Keltie need to hear that. 20 and 18, just me as of a few months ago need to hear that. Habit number 4, follow a wide range of fitness influencers. I'm going to give you the categories of people you should consider following on social media. 1, experts with degrees and certifications. 2, some local professionals. 3, people that are similar to you and your lifestyle, but like 5 to 10 years in advance. And diversify the niche. Pilates, yoga, running, weight training. Something that happened to me, and I've also heard a lot of other just fitness influencers talk about, is you can get stuck in these little niche echo chambers. And that happened with me. I was really in the weightlifting category. All I saw was the bodybuilding, the scientific community, the weight, and that's what I painted the world as. That is all I saw. And it even gave me a little bit of body dysmorphia when I started really getting into it, because I just never felt jacked enough. I never felt shredded enough. And then suddenly one day, I remember the moment I stepped away and just looked at myself compared to like the general population. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I've got muscle, but I was just so hyper fixed on this little niche, and I didn't do cardio because weight training was like weight training over everything. And even though cardio makes me feel good and is great for longevity, and I've heard this happen to a lot of girls in like the BBG community in like the 2012, and like you just get stuck in this little echo chamber and you just need to expand your horizons. So I think it's really nice to have experts, have people doing what you're doing, because there's always a sense of relatability. Not every single person you have to follow has to have a crazy degree. Like it's nice to know someone's in the same place as you. Maybe don't take their advice as much as you take a registered dietitian. I think it's really important. It provides comfort in you where you are, gives great advice, also gives you some advice from someone who's in it, because sometimes I think some experts forget what it's like for someone who's not in it. Like they might just be like, oh yeah, calorie deficit. And you're sitting here being like, how do I get into a calorie deficit? Or it's like, yeah, no, squat, this progressive overload, all this. And you're sitting there and be like, I don't even have the motivation to get to the gym. So it's nice to follow someone that's in a bit similar place to you. Habit number 5, nail proper lifting form before you start increasing the weights. I wasted a lot of years because I got way into weight training. My form wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And I just started carrying, I heard you'd lift more and heavier. And so I lift heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And then one day it dawned on me that like I do all these glute exercises and never engage my glutes. And I had to start over. I had to go way back, work on my mobility, because I didn't even have the mobility to get the full range of motions in a lot of exercises. So I had to put my ego aside and go back to body weight exercises. So it was so much wasted time instead of like ego lifting. And so if you're starting out, nail the proper form, have it perfection. You haven't nailed the proper muscle, and we're all going to be slightly different, but focus on that and then increase the weights. Yeah, just you'll save a lot of time. Habit number 3, sleep. It's the best legal, cognitive, and performance enhancing substance there is, proper sleep. And now one little tip, especially for fitness, I'm gonna give is I had to realize after sports, I was always training like 5 p.m., 7 p.m., 9 p.m. because that's what I was used to. That's when we played, that's when we practiced. But also I started to notice that I would get crazy adrenaline, and that's what would happen. Like I go to the gym, pumping music, endorphins flowing, and then I get home and stay up for several hours because I just had such high adrenaline from the workout. So I started to realize I have to train in the morning. That's what helps my sleep. If I train too much at night, it keeps me up and it wrecks my sleep. So I found out I'm a morning workout person. There's nothing that magical about working in the morning versus night, but just something to think about of like working out so in a way it helps your sleep in the rest of your life and works and that you can consistently do it. But that was a big thing for me, just getting quality sleep. And the first step I took into developing a night routine. Habit number 7, being inflexible isn't a flex. I used to kind of wear being inflexible as like a badge of honor. Like I'm so athletic, so strong, so powerful that like I can't touch my toes because I'm just like too fast. No. It doesn't work that way at all. If you're more flexible, more mobile, you have a longer range of motion, and as long as you have strength in the wider range of motion, you'll be more athletic. And also your back will stop hurting. Which leads me to the next one. Habit number 8, your muscles might not be tight, they could be weak. As I started going down that, then I just started stretching. And also, sometimes you'll feel like I've always had this pain in my hip. And so I would just stretch it. It turned out it was actually underdeveloped glutes that caused that tightness in my hip. So just some food for thought. If you're constantly stretching something and it never seems to improve, try and get a session with a professional and see maybe there's a muscle group you aren't focusing on. Habit number 9, a workout doesn't have to be an hour. Maybe it's because practices were an hour or 2 hours, but like I always had like a workout had to be at least an hour, ideally 2. Just fixated. There's something about workout classes are an hour or anything. Like you can have a 10-minute workout. You can just go to the gym, do a couple sprints, stretch a little and be out. I really follow the protocols right now of like aim for 150, 180 minutes of zone 2 a week, 10 minutes of max training. And then I try and train all my muscle groups a couple times a week. And even if that's all I get in, that's great. If you only have 10 minutes to go to the gym, there's still a benefit of it if that's all that works in your schedule. Habit number 10, we're doing some skin health, double cleanse. So my skin, I would never really suffer from acne, but I always had blackheads and just not good quality skin. And I never knew what it was. There's many of things, but one that made a great change is I realized I didn't wash my face. I washed my face, but looking back, all I did was kind of like put on some cleanser, rub it a bit, splash some water out. No, honey. There's still a lot of makeup on there. Now I always try and pass the white towel test. So here's what I do. I start in with like a makeup balm. I use Drunk Elephants, which I regret now because of Sephora Kids. It's always sold out. So it's actually, I'm considering changing brands, but it's my old faithful and that jar lasts forever. So first, cleansing balm. And that just gets like the makeup off. Just that, all the makeup you have, wash it off. Then I go in with an actual cleanser and that really gets deep into the dirt and the grime and anything left over. And ideally after that, I can use a white towel and there is no residue left over. And that's how I know I've washed my face enough. And actually not just like rubbing it on 5 seconds, wash off. I really try and take my time, nice and soft and gentle my skin, but just really break that makeup down. And just doing that pretty much got rid of my blackheads. My skin looks like crap right now because I've been traveling and drinking and going to bed with makeup on airplanes. And here's a case example of what happens when I don't double cleanse. Habit number 11, don't be fooled. It's still a diet. Now I've always been proud to be like, I don't follow diets. I'm just listening to the science and my body. Looking back, yeah, I fell into it. First, there was the clean eating of the 2012's Instagram, and then that led to the if it fits your macros, and then it became plant-based. Now, none of those are inherently wrong, especially if they help you educate you, but looking back, I wish I just spent time educating myself on nutrition, about what my body needs, how to properly fuel my body, what a carb, protein, fat, fiber is, micronutrients, like just learning how to properly fuel, the science behind it, just to educate myself and not like it become part of the identity. Something even why I don't call myself an intuitive eater, even though I fall into it, I just don't want my identity to be my diet. It kind of dawned on me one day. I was like, oh yeah, like, and some people are very passionate, like being a vegan and those kind of ones I say are like a little different because that's like of actual just a morality choice. And I think there's something great about that if that's what you choose. But like your whole personality being your diet, you're better than that. You listening and me when I was younger, you're better than that. It's food. It's not that deep. Habit number 12, you need a community. When sports ended, I felt very isolated and I didn't know what it was. Like I just remember feeling feeling what now I can know as lonely, and I would attach on to things. So any community I found, for example, with the weight training and bodybuilding-esque communities, like I latched onto it because it was like, wow, these are my people and surrounded. And that's great. And I think you really need it. And so I'm really thankful I had that. Because of that, I found my best friends, Amy, Lexi, and Ash. So I'm like forever thankful. And now that's like my community. And even when I came to Vancouver, I really tried to get involved in the gym community and joining all the local gyms. And, run clubs are a really big one now. But you might have heard the term third places right now, especially after college, we lose the third place, because one of my favorite things about being in college was that you always had a library to go study at. Obviously, I was blessed to be on a sports team, so I had my actual team, so I was always surrounded. But even when I was in college and no longer playing basketball, I would always go study at the library or the cafeteria, because it was that third place. It was a place I didn't have to call my friends and say, hey, I'm going to be there. I would just go, and because I was there, I would naturally run into people. And that's what's deemed as like a third place. And I think we really lack that right now. I think that's part of the lonely epidemic we're all going. We just have school and home, and we don't have that third place. And it can get exhausting. We're all tired making plans with people. We're all different busy schedule. Like, we need places we can just pop into and see people that we just have those quick acquaintances or randomly run into your friends. And so I love fitness classes for that, getting a really great gym. And I think I'm slowly seeing more and more gyms pop up like that have a co-working space, they have a bar, all that kind of stuff. And if you have the means of it, but even like smaller, like more affordable gyms are having this now. That's a really great thing, is just find your community, and just fitness can be a great way to have that third place. Habit number 13, that 30 calories from your coffee creamer is not going to make you gain 30 pounds. I don't know if this is still around, but it was when I was 25. It's like all those Cosmo magazines that were like ways to stay lean or skinny or whatever stupid things they were labeled. And they would demonize putting creamer in your coffee because it's 30 calories, and then 30 times 10 is 300, times 3 is 900. And then over a year, and like right there, just 1 tablespoon of coffee creamer is going to make you gain 5 pounds this year. No, you still need to eat every day. And that makes no sense looking back at it. Like, if that's a part of something you want in your diet, put it in. You know what? I'm sorry, I don't enjoy my coffee black. Sometimes I'll do it because it's there and I don't mind, but I like cream in my coffee. I love a cappuccino. And now I fully always drink cappuccinos and milk in my coffee. And it has not made a difference because it's part of my energy balance and it makes me enjoy it. So, and of course, if you just enjoy black coffee, that's fine. I'm just saying. Habit number 14, you don't run to eat, you eat to run. Now, everyone comes to this equation differently, but when I played sports, I did understand like I had to eat to fuel. But then after sports ended and I was just like working out, I didn't know how to properly fuel my body because I just knew it as like performance. And I remember we could go and make a whole video about that. And I would one day love to make like a post-career video. But in summary, exercise isn't a form of punishment. I think it's just like reframing that is like, you don't work out as punishment so you can eat later. You eat to fuel your body so you're capable to move your body, because moving your body and falling in love with you moving your body is great, and you need to fuel your body to be able to do that. And fueling for me means eating enough to sustain energy, enough nutrients so my body is functioning optimally, which I get from having a wide variety of foods in my diet. But also some days that's not possible because I'm traveling on the go, and just the reality is not every single day we can get every single nutrient possible. I don't have the time to think that way, and that is why I take AG1 every day, and I've taken every day for 4 years. It's my favorite way to simplify my supplement routine because it's really like over 7 supplements in one. It's a multivitamin, prebiotic, probiotic, antioxidant, functional mushrooms, digestive enzymes, and more. Made up of 75 nutrients, third-party certified for safety, and customers have reported benefits such as more energy, less gas, and bloating after a month. Now, I've taken it every single day pretty much for 4 years. I get my blood work done 1 to 2 times a year, and I'm lucky to have a clean bill of health. Now, that's not just from AG1. That's why I was like, AG1 isn't a replacement. It's not going to stop you eating fruits and vegetables or any of that. It's just nutritional insurance, but I've been taking it 4 years consistently, and if there was something bad going on my body, it would be red flag from my blood work. And yeah, I always have a clean bill of health, so that is great. And I would never promote anything to you guys I haven't used and tested. Everything I promote is just something in my daily routine, and AG1 is one of them. And of course, I got a discount code for you guys. If you use my link down below, you will get a 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free travel packets with your first purchase of AG1. Thank you, AG1, for sponsoring this video. Habit number 15, get a new pair of running shoes at least 1 time a year. I get it, it's expensive, but you know what's more expensive? All the physio you'll have to do because you're constantly hurting yourself because you're running on shoes that are broken down. There's many of ways to get affordable, wait for deals, Amazon Prime, Black Friday, Boxing Day in Canada. I wish I would just plan once a year, like on Black Friday, to get a good new pair of walking/running shoes. They're different. I'm going to have a whole video on it. If you guys saw over my TikTok, I've been doing running and walking shoe reviews, so I got that to make sure you can find affordable ones and the best bang for your buck. But if there's 2 things things I learned to spend money on. It's whatever separates you from the ground, aka your shoes and mattress. Everything else, I'm like, I don't know if it was worth money. Those two things have always been worth my money and saved me so much pain and energy and just improved my quality of life 10 times more than anything else I've ever purchased. Habit number 16, starting your day with a walk outside will change your life. And now I'm learning there's morning sunlight, all that yada, yada, yada. But something about just having that time with myself, even if I'm just walking to the gym, walking to class. I started doing that when I moved to Halifax because it was a walkable city for the first time in my life. I lived in Edmonton, which is not a walkable city. And I would walk to class and I'd listen to podcasts and audiobooks and music. And I have so much of that to thank for where I am today, because that is where I started just like realizing the creative thoughts and just like all the anxiety, all the jumbling in my head just became clear. I'd go with my phone, I need these thoughts, write down on a notepad. And that started, like those walks were what gave me the idea to start my YouTube channel. And I love it. It's a part of my day I need, even if it's just 5 minutes, it just clears my mind and just like recenters me. And that's the mental aspect. And yeah, walking's good for the body too. Habit number 17, don't stare at a screen so much. I can't prove that I have bad eyesight because of staring at a screen, but there's a direct correlation when I started editing YouTubes for multiple hours a day and my eyesight ruining. I had perfect 20/20 vision when I was like up till 21 years old. And then it was around the time I started my YouTube channel, it just one day, it just plummeted. And this could be age, of course, but I've also heard sometimes your body will adjust because I'm constantly staring at things so close that your eye can start to change, and I can't see things in the distance now. So I don't know, but either way, it's straining on the eyes. I have dry eyes. Just every 20 minutes, I don't do this, but I wish I would have started younger. It's about every 20 minutes. I think you're supposed to stare off about 20 feet for 20 seconds. Just try to do that. I know it's so hard, but now I wear contacts and I hate it. And I'm scared of LASIK. Habit number 18. The bump on the back of your arms is not pimples, it is KP. And I got rid of it by simply exfoliating the back of my arms and moisturizing. I'm pretty lucky I don't have cellulite, but I always had like rough, patchy skin that almost I thought was cellulite or pimples. And it just turns out, no, I have really dry skin, which creates this thing called KP, something paralysis. Considering I have it, I should know how to pronounce it. But yeah, just exfoliate and moisturize. Boom, gone. Habit number 19, don't get breast implants. They won't help your career. Body types go in and out of fashion, which is disturbing, but you know, that's a lot of money and a lot of literally having surgery just because what trend is in. If you want to follow trends, stick to clothing and makeup trends, but it's looking back, maybe I wouldn't be where I am today. Who knows? Who knows? So it's easier to say now. They were fun, I guess, for a little bit, but they were also really annoying. So just take into that in a case, if you do want to do plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery, is if you like the look of it, that's great, but you also have a physical object in you that gets annoying. That was the biggest thing for me. They were just annoying to have in there. I didn't have any negative health aspects, but like doing a push-up with implants, oh my God, it was just like a constant tightness. It feels so free. So if you still want them, that's up to you. Watch my whole video about it, but just know, yeah, that stuff can get annoying. Financial health is one of the pillars of health because of the amount of stress debt will cause you for years is not good for you. Me speaking to you, Keltie. Now, I'm not a financial expert at all. I was literally thrown to the wolves at 18 because my family did not talk about finances, but going back, what I tell myself is number 1, put away a % of each paycheck for taxes, especially if you're self-employed. 2, learn about mutual funds and compound interest. And 3, make an even basic budget. Even just learning those 3 simple things at a younger age would have put me on the right financial path way sooner. Habit number 21, dancing is the best form of cardio and probably the best thing for my mental health. If I'm stressed, listening to music and just like, bah, 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 even if you're not a dancer, for 3 minutes, the endorphins, the break, you're just like, it's so good for you. There is that study that came out of like things that help like improve mood. Dancing ranked as the number 1, like even over SSRIs. Now, that's not totally as clear because usually people taking like medication have clinically prescribed like depression and stuff, so they need those things. So like that's why I was like, studies like that isn't point clear, but it's just a reminder of like one of the best, easiest, affordable ways to just improve your mood when you're feeling down is listen to some music and dance. And I wish I'd known that because when I was dancing at the club, I definitely was happy. So I wish I did that in the middle of the day around 2 p.m. when I was sad from anxiety, which I had a lot of back then. Speaking of anxiety, habit number 2, anxiety is fear of the future. Depression is regret of the past. Happiness is being in the present. Now, obviously, as someone who's also suffered from many mental health issues, which we won't get into my diagnosis, yada, 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 all that, but it's not as easy. But I just found for myself, just like those minor little depressive episodes or minor moments of anxiety, not like clinically diagnosed, just those moments when you're really sad or really anxious. When I was anxious, it was about like thinking too much about the future and like just not doing what I could in that moment. And when I was sad, it was just ruminating on the past. And anytime I'm just in that present moment being like, oh, what can I do today? What can I do in this right right moment to just get me one step closer. As long as I start doing that, being an action, that helped. Or on the flip side, taking a breath. Like, you kind of have to learn, and I still don't have it great, but like, you just have to learn to become present with yourself so you can read what your body's telling you. Like, do I need right now action? Do I need to go do something? Do I need to go deal with something? Is it just going to take 2 minutes and be done, even though I've been stressing and being anxious about it forever? Or am I really down because I'm ruminating and I just need to go out, see a friend, hug someone, get some serotonin, get some endorphins? Or on the flip side, have I been doing so much and my body's screaming at me to relax, and that anxiety is just me being heightened? So just breathe. So I think I'm not great at it, but I think every time I just come back into the moment, be like, what do I need right now? Every time I do that, I get a little better. And I wish I started doing that before, versus I was just a maniac running around with a chicken with their head cut off. Habit number 23, it is not downhill after 25. I think a lot of us have this picture that like you hit 25 and it's all downhill. Fitness goes down, your skin goes down, you get uglier, you get older, that's the mark. And there's some biological things. I'm not going to pretend there isn't, but you just can't rely on you. And that's what I've learned about, especially going into your like later 20s, into those years, onwards to your 30s, yada yada. And you just even talking to friends who are in their 40s, later 30s, yada yada. Every year since 25 felt better about myself. And I think there's that like thing online about millennials looking older than Gen Z. I think it's just because I look at back at myself when I was in my early versus late 20s, and I looked older in my early 20s because I didn't moisturize. I didn't know how to do skincare. I was constantly hungover and sleeping. And so suddenly I'm sleeping properly, doing skincare. So like, it's not all downhill. Of course, the older you get, the more work you have to do. And there becomes that line of like, is it worth putting all that work for your skin, for all that kind of stuff? But even just physically, I didn't start working on mobility to my later 20s. And every year since, physically, I felt better. I felt more mobile. I felt stronger. I felt less pain, less anxiety. So of course, I'm not speaking as someone who's in their 40s or 50s. I'll update this video one day, but I think it's not downhill. You just have to put in a bit of work to maintain, but you can also improve. So just some word of thought of like, don't think 25 is looming and like, oh my God, it's all downhill. It's just like, can't rely on youth. Got to put in some work, but the work is worth it. Habit number 24, your environment dictates everything. Your apartment, your office, your school, your locker, your car, that's everything. Your habits, you can change your habits by just changing your environment. I remember being in some really bad habits when I lived in Edmonton, and the first time I moved, it like snap got out of them because I no longer had those like stimuli to do the bad habit. So on the flip side, you can create an environment that just makes the good habits easy. And I think that every once in a while when I get into like a bad funk, some bad habits, I just don't like my routine, I'm not doing the things I wish I was doing, I redo my apartment. Like I just organize it, or my office at home. And like, it doesn't have to cost any money, but I just think of like, how would my environment set up that would make it default easy to do the things I want to be doing? And that changes everything. There's even those studies of like war veterans who did drugs and they come back, and even though it's a very addictive substance, they instantly don't want to do it because the stimulus isn't there. They're not in the environment that they resort to that. So I just found your environment dictates everything. That includes your friends. I've been in friend groups that, we weren't living the healthiest lifestyle, and nothing wrong with them, but it became hard to stay healthy because the only way to see them was 2 a.m. at the bar. And I still love those girls, but I started to realize my goals weren't perfectly aligned. So I found friends that align more with my goals. So just your environment, your people dictate everything. And last one, habit number 25, aging is a gift, and every year older isn't a failure, it's a success. And it's something, I think there's a lot of discord online right now about like anti-aging and, the Brian Johnsons of the world and the Kim Kardashians staying young forever. And I'm not against all that things, like the idea of longevity and health span specifically, not just lifespan, but like being as healthy as you can for as long as possible to enjoy the most out of life. Like that's beautiful. And I talk a lot of that on the channel, but at the same time, I wish we got more excited for every year. Like every year you lived was another year you got to live, and it's a beautiful thing. And I'm trying to reframe that. And I thought I was so old in my early 20s. I remember being like 21 working at one bar, being like, ugh, I'm so old. Nothing wrong if you want to just joke that, self-deprecating humor. But like every birthday, especially for women, I feel there's this like daunting feeling just because that's how society is. But I'm just trying to reframe my mind that like literally every year is a gift. You've got to live one more year, and easier said than done. But that's what I'm currently working on. And those were the 25 little healthy hacks I wish I'd started at 25. Now, if you're like over 25 and you watch this and you haven't done that, that's fine. I was also over 25 and hadn't done this. This is just like reflecting back. I wish I'd known these things when I was younger. And you don't have to do all these things. They're just some little guidance that I've developed over the last couple of years that have really improved my quality of life, and just like little tweaks that have greater return on investment. Like whether it be having more frozen berries, affordable way to completely changing your environment so it makes makes it easier to do the good things, whatever it is. And yeah, I thought this would be fun. It was just recently my birthday, and I thought this would be a fun little video. If you guys would like me to do another, because I had about 25 others, I can make like a rapid fire. So if you guys like this, I can do another similar video. If there's any other little hacks that you wish you knew at 25 looking back, I'd love to hear it down in the comments. Or if you're below 25, maybe something you would tell your 21-year-old self. Maybe we'll just say that. Anything you would tell yourself 5 years ago, what would you tell them? And let's hear it down in the comments. I would love to read that. And most importantly, have a great day. Go pet a dog. Love you guys. Bye.